Good morning, everybody. We'll just give a few minutes for everybody to join us before we start our live virtual open morning, so we can meet a few of the horses whilst we're just waiting for everybody to tune in. So this here's Frank. We've not got many horses in at the moment. They're all having a bit of a break due to the COVID situation that we've all found ourselves in. So we've got Munch here, who likes to munch. We've got Axiom as well. So what we'll do during this video, we'll be talking about the 12-week residential foundation course, which is the main course we do here at the NHC. So it's a 12-week course, so residential, so you live at the college during the 12 weeks. It's for anybody aged 16 or over, so anybody exceeding the age of 16. We have a lot of mature learners as well, that have kind of started a career in life that maybe want to do something different. So that's really popular as well. Another thing that you don't need for the course is any equine experience. So a lot of people presume that you're working with horses, so you'll need equine experience, you'll need to have ridden horses before. But many of our learners have never even touched a horse, never come into contact with a horse before. So you don't need any experience with horses at all before starting the course. You also don't need any academic qualifications either. So if you don't have your English and maths, it's grade C or level 4 and above, then you will complete them during the 12-week course, but they're not required to actually apply for the course. If you have them already, that's great. You don't need to do your functional skills whilst you're here. It just means that if you don't have them, that you'll be able to do them whilst you're here. So feel free to ask any questions as we go along the morning. It'll finish around about 11:30, so you've got plenty of time to get your questions in. Anything that we don't cover at all, just shout and we can have a chat about it. We've previously done 2 live open mornings before, so if you wanted to look back at them, they're actually on our YouTube page and our Facebook page. So if you wanted to go back and look at them, the first time we did an open morning in April, we actually had learners on site, so you can see a typical morning for the learners. So they're riding out, they're doing the yard duties, on the gallops, etc. So that's a good one to see. And that last one, we looked at more of the accommodation side of it, meeting the instructors, meeting some of the horses in the fields. So each time we'll kind of go across something a little bit different for you, just to give you a taste of what it's like here at the NHC. So in here is one of the barns that a lot of the horses are housed in. Obviously it's a bit quiet at the minute, there's not many horses in. This is normally hive of activity on a morning, so the learners will come down and feed the horses about 6:30 in the morning, and then start mucking out at about 7. So it's an early start for the learners, but there's plenty to get done and get on with the yards. So a question from Courtney, at the end of the course, what qualifications do you receive if you don't have English and Maths? So if you don't have English and Maths grade C or level 4 and above before you come here, you will do them whilst you're here, and you'll need to complete them whilst you're here in order to gain the qualification. But our functional skills tutors are really good at working with you one-to-one, just to make sure that you get that qualification. So you'll have that qualification by the end of the 12 weeks. So we'll work hard at that if you don't have it before you come here. So this is another one of the barns, which is getting a bit of a spruce up whilst a lot of the horses are out. almost perfect timing to give everything a good scrub and a good clean. So in here as well we have the Tack Room. So this is where a lot of the learners will spend their time at 6:30 in the morning feeding the horses. So different feeds, most of our horses are on the same type of feed, but yeah, this is where a lot of that happens in here. So as we go around as well, you see a lot of notices on the board which just gives the learners all reminders and kind of tips and tricks of feeding, or whether it be riding or motivational, things like that. So there's lots of them around that you'll see. Just gives them all a bit of a reminder as they go along. And there's a lot of our horses and what they eat at the minute. They're on a very basic diet because they're not actually doing any work. So just up there you'll see the main college. So that's the building in front of us. There is the accommodation block. So we won't be able to go in there today because it's had a deep clean, ready for our learners to arrive on the 5th of July. But in our last live virtual open morning video that is on YouTube at the minute, you can actually see what the accommodation is like. So we ventured into the accommodation and just showed you a bit of what it's like in there. So if you wanted to go back to that video and have a look. So, question from Z-Sean, are there any stallions on here? No, we don't have any stallions. We used to have one, but we don't have any more. They're all geldings and mares that we use here. So, a question from John, what are the chances of becoming a professional jockey? Very high if you work hard. We've had many learners come through the NHC that have gone on to be professional jockeys. For a lot of them that is their main ambition, to become a professional jockey. So the likes of Danny Tudhope, Hayley Turner, Danny Cook. There's a lot of different names that have come through here that are now the most popular jockeys in the UK, whether that's jump or flat. If you wanted to go to our website, there's actually a success stories page, so that just shows different learners that have come through and what their successes are, and that highlights a lot of the jockeys on there, so that's definitely worth a look. So a question from Amy, what age do you have to be to join? So anyone 16 plus, so you can join so when you finish your GCSEs, you can apply for the course. You can apply online. It's quite easy. If you go on our website, click apply now, send your application form off, and you'll be able to hear back from us and then move forward with the application. So a question from Jen, I'm turning 16 in August, what would be the best start date? So if you apply online now, even if it's for courses end of this year, 2021, if you apply now and just let our team know when you'll be available from, we can then slot you into an available course. So the courses start every 6 weeks. So we have 2 groups in at any one time. So they start every 6 weeks, obviously with it being a 12-week course. They're split into 2, so it's juniors and seniors. So during your first 6 weeks at the college, you'll be juniors, and then during your final 6 weeks, you'll become seniors. So that's how it's split up. So a question about the 14-16 programme. We do have a 14-16 programme. So that's for mainly people that can travel in every day. So it's basically day release from your school. So they have to agree for you to come here 1 day a week. So if you want to join the 14-16 programme, it's definitely worth getting in contact with your school, just seeing if they'll support that. And once you've completed the 2-year 14-16 course, it will actually go towards the foundation course qualification. So that's definitely worth looking at if you're keen from if you're 14 years old and you really want to do that. So how much is the course? So the course is £350 for the full 12 weeks. So that cost includes your accommodation, all your meals, so 3 meals a day, and the tuition. So, and there's a £50 room deposit as well that's due when you arrive, just to make sure that your room is left how you found it in. So the equipment as well that you'd need for the foundation course, we will lend body protectors to learners for the full 12 weeks. But the hat and boots and things like that you would have to purchase before you arrive for your course. We can advise you on what standard, because there is a standard of hat and boots and things like that you'll need. We do have an online and on-site shop. When the COVID's all sorted out, we can reopen our shop, but we can advise you on the gear that you'd need, and you can purchase it actually on the day you arrive for your course here at the NHC. So whether that's a hat, it's a certain standard that you need in racing for a hat as well. So it's definitely worth talking to our team. We can advise you on that. That's Frank saying hello. So a bit about Frank here. All of our horses are graded, so when you start here on the 12-week course, they're a little bit easier to control, more straightforward, and as you progress through the course, you'll get put on horses that are a bit more tricky to handle, a bit stronger, and we'll only put you on them horses if we feel that you're confident enough and we feel that you're able to control them. So Frank is one of them horses that is a little bit more trickier. He does test the learners a bit, but it's really good to get the learners riding horses like Frank towards the end of the course, because it does prepare them for life in the racing industry. So when you go out into the racing industry, you'll ride horses that are a lot quirkier, and you won't necessarily get the chance to say that you don't want to ride them. So riding horses that are slightly trickier at the college just prepares you for the racing industry and horses that you've got to ride in there. So a question from Amy, turning 16 in March, what would be the best thing to do? So once you turn 16, just apply online for our course, the foundation course. You can apply via our website, and just send us a note on your application form of a date that you can start from. So as soon as you turn 16, you finished your qualifications at school, your GCSEs, and then we can look into the best start date for you. So that's the best thing to do. So a question here about mature students. We do have mature students come through the college. So like I say, it's for anyone 16 plus. So it's not just for anyone, 16, 17, 18. It is for all ages. So as long as you're able to work with horses safely from the ground or ridden, then that's absolutely fine. It's definitely worth applying for the foundation course. So we do have two options as well. So there's the riding option and the non-riding option. So most people would choose the riding option because they want to ride them, they want to do it that way. But a lot of people don't necessarily want to ride them, they just want to work with horses from the ground. And that's absolutely fine. We have a non-riding option available. There's always a handful on each course that will choose the non-riding option. Or we'd say if you wanted to be a rider, you have to be a maximum of 11 stone with all your riding gear on. So wearing all your kit, you need to be a maximum of 11 stone. So it's around about 10.5 stone without the riding gear on. That's to be a rider. But yeah, we have a variation of riders and non-riders here at the college. and you'll all come out with the same qualification as well. Question from Amy, where's the college based? So we're based just near Doncaster, so it's about 3-4 miles outside of Doncaster. So it's not far from any motorways, it's very accessible as well. So a question from Beth, do you know when you're starting back? We have released statements online about when we're starting back. So we're accepting learners back from the 5th of July, which is great that we can get back up and running again. Obviously there's a few changes due to the COVID situation, but we're just glad that we can have learners back on site and watching the horses every day on the gallops, and learners enjoying that as well. So a question here, what's the height limit? There is no height limit at all. So it's a misconception in racing that you have to be quite small to be a jockey or a rider, but it all goes on your weight, so it's nothing to do with height at all. So if you're the correct weight for riding, then that's all we need. So a question on here, is there a difference in course time between riding and non-riding? No, it's still 12-week course for both. You'll come out with the same qualification. You'll all do the same thing. All it is the riders will go out and ride on the gallops 2 or 3 times a day, or in the indoor school, and the non-riders will do yard work or learning different things from the floor, like trotting up, holding for the farrier, holding for the vet, and things like that. So it's a variation of things you'll do as a non-rider, but it's the same amount of time for the course and the same qualification that you receive as well. So in here, it's very quiet at the minute, but this is the mare and pony barn. This is normally a hive of activity in here, with all of the stables full. As you can see, they go down there, so there's plenty of work to do when the horses are all in. So a question, Lucille applied for the course in the new year. If you want to drop us an email at the info@thenhc.co.uk, we can look into that for you, and we can be in contact with you direct if that's all right. A question from Beth, how do I get in contact with you to finish the last 6 weeks? Just drop us an email at our info@thenhc.co.uk, we'll be able to direct you in the right path to who you need to contact for that, and we can get you on that path. So a question from Zach, if you've already been riding, once you start, do you have to start again? So no, not at all. We have a lot of riders that come here that have ridden before, maybe ridden from a young age, maybe ridden for a few years, a whole variety. And what we do is on the second or third day that you arrive, we assess your riding. So you ride in the indoor school on the lower graded horses, and we just assess your balance, your position, your riding aids and things like that, just to make sure we know what your standard of riding is, so we know how to work with you and the different horses that we have here, and when you'd be ready to go on the gallops and things like that. So all of our riders are at different levels when they arrive, but we do just assess your riding when you arrive, and we go from there. Question about the non-riding course. Would trainers be happy to take you on the yard without riding experience? So yeah, all you do is you'd apply for a more of a yard role. So there are in racing yards, there's many different roles involved. So a lot of them are a work rider, which is what you typically hear about. But also there's the you've got your yard people, the ones that would muck out each day. You've got your racing staff that would travel and take the horses racing every day, depending on how busy you are as a yard. So there's a lot of different roles like that. So what you do is you just apply, once you've completed this course as well, if you're successful in completing it and we think you're ready, we'll put you on work placement with a racehorse trainer for 6 weeks. So during that time, the trainer can get a feel for how you work, and vice versa. And then typically after that 6 weeks work placement, the trainer will take you on full time. So that's quite common. That I think it's 94% of our learners actually go into full-time work after being accepted. So a question from Amy: do you ride in the first few days? Yes, so it's the Tuesday, so you'll arrive on the Sunday, and the Tuesday is when you'll ride for the first time. So that's when your assessment is. So that's in the indoor school. So we'll venture up to the indoor school in a moment. We can have a look in there. So a question: has there ever been any bad injuries? So working with horses always has its difficulties. They say that being a rider, you know, you have your falls, but you get back on the horse and you carry on. People do fall off. It's the nature of riding a horse, and you learn from it as well. So yeah, we do have falls, but you just brush yourself off and get back on again. So over here is the paddocks where a lot of our horses are turned out at the moment. There's one having a bit of fun, thinking he's coming in, I think. So yeah, they're all having a bit of downtime at the minute. So this block here, this is where like the canteen, the rec room is, and we'll take you to where the accommodation block is as well. Like I say, we can't go into the accommodation block due to the deep clean that's happened recently. Don't want to contaminate anything, but I can show you from the outside what the accommodation looks like. So a question from Amy: how many people can the college hold? So we have around 40 learners at any one time at the college, and that's split into the 2 groups as well. So here's the accommodation block. We have females on the first floor and the males on the second floor at the top. There are rules as well, so if any are caught on the wrong landing, that is trouble, and you will get a warning for that. So you have to make sure you abide by the rules as well. So in here, this door is a magnetic lock door that you need a special code for. But in here is where you clean the boots, wash your hands, and there's lockers as well. That's just through that door, but that's all locked at the moment. And we have the hand sanitizer everywhere as well. We've got even more at the minute due to the issues that are going on. So if you wanted to see the rec room, the canteen and things like that, that's available to view on our last open morning. So that's all in there. We can't go in at the minute, obviously, with the deep clean happening, ready for the learners. You can see inside of there on our previous video. So if you head over to our YouTube channel, you can have a look in there. So through here, this is the tack room. So you'll see in here all the tack that's for the horses. So a question from Zach about age. You do have to be 16 or over to actually take part in the foundation course. There is a 14 to 16 program that you can look into, but like I say, that's when you are 14 years old, and you need to get permission from your school as well. A question here: do I need to attend a riding school and understand the basics about riding before attending? It's not a requirement at all to know anything about horses before you arrive. We do advise that you go and find out a bit of information, because it will help you along the way. So it's completely your choice. If you can learn the basics, then that's great, but it's not a requirement at all. We can teach you the basics whilst you're here. A question about the rooms do you share with people similar age? So we have twin rooms and we have single rooms. Some people do request the single rooms, some people like the twin rooms. It's a bit of company for them whilst they're here. If you do share, then we will tend to put you with someone a similar age to you. So whilst you're here, or you manage to get an interview, which at the minute is over the phone, just request whatever you wish about accommodation, and we can see what we can do about that. So a question here about international students. So the cost of the course for international students. So anyone living outside the EU, the course is £5,000. We can send you more information of the course by email if you wish. So if you wanted to drop us an email at info@thenhc.co.uk, we can send you a bit more information about that. So a question here about the saddles. So we can have a quick look. Saddle, if you've never seen a racing saddle before. So the bridles are pretty standard, as you can see. They're pretty standard on there. Just a basic snaffle bit, and a basic noseband as well. So these saddles, which are collecting a bit of dust at the minute, so they are slightly different. So as you can see on there, they're slightly different to the usual, say, GP saddle that many of you will be used to riding in if you've ridden before, or if you've learnt to ride at a riding school and things like that. This is slightly different. So it's a half-tree saddle. It's a lot more close contact than a GP saddle, but they're still really comfy. So yeah, you'll soon get used to riding in one of these saddles. So all the horses have their own tack as well. So that was Damien's. Damien's one of our longest residents. He was actually born here. He's called Damien because he was born on the 6th of the 6th, 06. And he does live up to his name as well. He is a bit of a monkey. So we test the learners in the stable especially. But it's good for the learners to work with different horses and different attitudes that the horses have as well. Question from Zach: how many horses do you have in total? We have around 40-45 horses here, so they're all used for the foundation course. A lot of them are used for the specialist courses as well, so that's our jockey license courses. We have a few racing ponies here as well, and they all enjoy doing different jobs. They all have different temperaments on the gallops, in the stable, in the indoor arena and things like that, so they're all very unique, but they're all very much a vital part of the team as well. So a question: can you participate in the foundation course and possibly pass, even if you think your future career will possibly not be within the racing industry? Yeah, definitely. So you can complete the course, you can get your qualification in the foundation course, and then you don't have to go on to work in racing. So you can come here and gain that experience with racehorses, and then you can go off to do whatever career you choose. That's entirely up to you. You just let our team know that whilst when you send off your application, that's absolutely fine. Question: how much is the foundation course? So the cost of the course is £350. So that's for the full 12 weeks, and that includes accommodation, all your meals, so that's 3 meals a day, and the tuition as well. So there are bursaries available. If your household income is £23,000 or less, then you can apply for a bursary as well. So if you submit your application, you can apply for the bursary forms during that time. So we can look into that for you and send you the relevant forms that you need. Question: are all the horses in snaffles? So that's a type of bit, if someone's not familiar with that. So no, it depends on the horse. If they're strong, if they're quite sensitive mouthed, depending on the horse, to be honest. But most people in racing, most horses in racing will wear a snaffle. It is the generic bit that they'd wear in the mouth. So we're just heading now to the indoor arena and the gallops. We'll see some of the paddocks on our way round. Whilst we're down at the gallops as well, we'll meet some of the horses. We'll be able to catch up with some of the training instructors as well, who are currently out feeding the horses and poo picking and things like that. So we can catch up with them. So a question: what is the lifespan of a jockey career? So many years if you wish. A lot of jockeys, so if you want to be, say, an apprentice flat jockey, you can do that from the age of 17. And if you wanted to go on into your 40s, 50s, you know, it's a lot of people have different ages that they go into being a jockey. So it's completely up to the individual as to how long their career will last for. So just opening some of these gates to head down to the indoor arena. So where I've just walked down is the path that the horses will take from the stable yard. So it's a nice warm up as well for the horses. So a question here: what are the units of the course? So they all vary. So it's a lot of yard management, how to control horses safely, how to feed, how to muck out, everything that you need to know about how to work with racehorses. So a question here about the horses. So all of our horses are ex-race horses, so they all had a career in racing. They are all familiar with the routine every day of you know, going on the gallops or going on the indoor school. So they all know their job. They've been doing it for years. Our horses are of all different ages, so some that are younger, maybe 5 or 6, some that are a lot older towards the end of their riding career, but they're really valuable assets to the team. A question here from Robin about the racing ponies. So some of the learners that are relatively small and lightweight, they may start to learn on our racing ponies. So it just depends on the learners. We have one in particular called Charlie who's a really good little racing pony, and he thinks he's one of the horses as well on the gallops. So a question from Hannah, what pony racing courses are available? So we have pony racing camp and we have pony racing training as well. So for those you can bring your own pony if you have your own pony. Can be of all shapes and sizes, and during the camp they'll learn the kind of ins and outs of pony racing, and set them up for if they want to go pony racing. So the Charles Owen pony racing series and things like that. So the training as well, the pony club pony racing training days, they are we have a lot of guest speakers come for the day, so from like BHA, jockey coaches and things like that, so they really get to know the ins and outs of pony racing, and if they want to become a future jockey as well, it does prepare them well for that. So a question about our arenas. So we'll have a venture into our indoor arena now. So we have one outdoor arena, which we don't use that often, to be honest. We tend to use the indoor. It's a nice safe environment in the indoor arena, nice and quiet. So this is the indoor arena. As you can see, it's very big in here. There's a few jump wings and poles out, but that's not what we use for the foundation course. We actually hire out these facilities to external customers as well. So those that have their own horses that wish to come here, we do hire this out. So that's what the jump wings and poles are for. So a question, what is the college called? So we're called the National Horse Racing College. So if you're looking for that on Google, on the internet, if you just search for the nhc.co.uk, and you'll be able to find us on there. So Bethany said she's excited to start on Sunday. That's fab. We'll look forward to welcoming you here. And all the horses will be pleased to see learners back as well, which is great. So yeah, so in the indoor arena, this is where the riding assessment will take place. So it'll take place on the Tuesday after you arrive. So all learners will arrive on a Sunday, and the riding assessment will take place on the Tuesday. So you'll all ride one of your horses, walk or trot, depending on your ability. And once you've been assessed by our training manager and training instructors, we'll then move forward with what type of horse that you're comfortable riding. So yeah, this is where the assessment will take place. And you also ride in here every day as well. So first slot will be in here. So as you progress through the course, you'll work on your position and your canter. You'll work on balance, you work on your steering, you work on all sorts in here, just to make sure you're ready to go out into the workplace as well. And learners that are not necessarily confident on the gallops, they will ride in here until our instructors and the learner feel that they are confident to go out on the gallops. So they'll go out on the gallops on a quieter horse, just to build their confidence up, and then we'll progress them through. So we never put anyone on a horse that's too much for them, and knock their confidence, as that's not great at all. So we always put learners on horses that are suitable for them. So yeah, that's the indoor arena. So a question here, I don't know how to put tack on a horse. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to know anything like that before you arrive. We will teach you absolutely everything that you need to know, from grooming a horse to feeding a horse, to mucking it out, tacking up, getting on, absolutely everything. So there's no worry at all if you don't know anything before you arrive. A lot of our learners don't, and that's absolutely normal for them. We'll teach them that, and then once the 12 weeks is up and they've successfully completed, they'll be ready to go out into the workplace. So a few questions here about being a jockey. So there's different types. There's a flat jockey and there's a jump jockey. So if you want to be a jockey, what you'd do is you'd complete the foundation course. You'd have to successfully complete it here. Then what you'll do is we'll work with you and to find a suitable location for your work placement. So that's with a racehorse trainer anywhere in the UK. A location of your choice that we feel that's suitable, a suitable yard. Once that work placement is completed, and you're offered full-time employment with that racehorse trainer, which typically is what happens, you are offered full-time once the 6 week is completed, then you'll apply for your level 2 apprenticeship. So the level 2 apprenticeship is completed in the workplace, so in your place of work with that racehorse trainer. So that course will last around a year, and once you're well into that course or completed that course, and the trainer, so your employer, feels that you are good enough to be a jockey, then they will put you forward for your jockey licence course. So whether that's a flat jockey or a jump jockey, depends on what you want to do. So your trainer needs to put you forward for that if they think that you are suitable to be a jockey. And from there, you will apply for our jockey course, which are held here at the NHC, and the BHA work with you. And if they feel you're good enough, they'll grant you your licence, and then you can start your career as a jockey. So there's a few questions here about courses. So our team are working hard to make sure learners are placed on courses. Obviously there's a reduced amount of learners that we can have on site due to social distancing and COVID situations, but we're working hard at making sure that we're getting our students placed. So if you have applied for a course and you've been given a date, or you're waiting for a date, just bear with us, as we are in touch with all of the learners, making sure that we've got a date for them to start. But obviously we've got learners from a few months now that are waiting for their course to start. So we do really appreciate your patience with waiting for a course start date. But if you just bear with us, our team are contacting every single learner that's waiting for a course date. So, good question there from Chloe. If we already know how to do some things, can we help others? That's a really good question. And yeah, definitely. It's really good to help others, especially if they're not aware of how to do things, they're not familiar. That's a really, really good thing to do whilst you're here. So we're just heading out now to the gallops. You can see in the distance over there some of our horses that are currently being fed. So these are our gallops on here. So they're wood chip gallops, and they go all the way around, so just short of a mile, so it's 7 furlongs long. There's 8 furlongs in a mile, so it's just short of a mile. So the learners will only come out here when our training instructors feel that they're ready, they're confident enough to come out on the gallops, because horses do ride differently in the indoor schools to the gallops. They're outside, they're feeling a bit more fresh, so we just make sure that our learners are definitely confident before they come out, and that we feel that they're capable as well. So question here, what happens if you lose your balance on the gallop? So whilst you're riding round, our training instructors follow all the horses in the truck. So when horses are ridden on the gallops, it's what's called a string. So when you start, there'll be about 4 or 5 of you when you start riding on the gallops. So not too many of you. And our training instructors will follow you in the truck, and every learner wears an earpiece. So during all the time that you're riding, our training instructors will be giving you feedback, giving you advice, just to help you along the way. If you feel like you're losing your balance, or you need to pull up or anything like that, you just talk to our training instructors. They're never far away in the truck, and they'll be able to help and advise you as well. And they're always watching you as well, so they'll always be able to see if you're struggling, and then they can always give you advice. A question here about our uniform. So when you start the course, you will be given, as part of the cost, as part of the £350 cost, you'll be given a polo shirt, a jumper and a jacket. So they're all NHC branded. You'll have them to wear during your course. So that's what we advise wearing whilst you're here. So question, if you have had any big trainers take our learners? Yep, there's so many different trainers that we've had placed on yards. So in terms of jump trainers, we've had like John Joe O'Neill, Paul Nichols, things like that. In terms of flat, some go to Mark Johnston. A big variation of yards. So if you personally prefer to work in a smaller yard, like a family-run yard, then we will place you in a smaller yard. But if you prefer a bigger yard, a bigger working environment, then we'll place you in a bigger yard. So a question about the horses return back into work. So all our horses will return to work shortly. We have instructors that are working hard to make sure they're all ready for our learners when they arrive. So yeah, they'll be back into work very soon. Question, is it difficult to pull up a racehorse on the gallops? Depends on the horse. Some are stronger than others. But with the right aids that you're taught throughout your course, you'll be able to pull the horse up easily. And all our horses here, they know the job, they know what the learners are asking of them, so they won't run away with you or anything like that. So we're here with some of our training instructors here. We'll be able to meet some of the horses. So we've got Claire there, who's one of our training instructors, and Victoria, who is a training instructor as well. So who have we got here?
So we've got Just Playful here, and Just Playful's about 19 years old. He's been at the college around, I would say 6-7 years, so he's been here quite a while. He's used just in the school. He's not a gallop horse, he's used just in the school for the learners when they first come in. He's a really good ride in the school. He can be quite bouncy when they're learning their sitting canter. So he's quite good for teaching them to deepen their seat and to make sure that they're not balancing on his mouth, that they're getting the weight down in the feet, because if they're balancing on his mouth then they will go really bouncy on his back. But he's got such good, he's so patient. I mean, he puts up with a lot, he really does put up with a lot. And he's also quite a nice character in the stable, although if you're brushing him or doing his girth, he will have a bite at you. He loves to be fussed, but it's just when you're sort of doing his girth, he gets a little bit moody, scowls at you. It's not often that he's kicked anybody or bit anybody, although I won't say he's never done it. It's not often.
Keeps them on their toes though, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's good because he teaches them to be confident around horses that may look a little bit snarly and a little bit moody. And he just helps the learners realise that not all of them are going to be nasty when they scowl.
Yeah.
So, but no, he's a real good asset to the college. He's, like I say, he's been here a long time, so he's part of the furniture now. He's enjoying his holiday.
Thank you very much. And is Victoria here? Who have we got here?
This is Fred Flintstone. Who's getting a little bit impatient because he wants his breakfast this morning. He's a very sensitive soul, although he's quite one of our bigger horses. He's a big national hunt horse. I'll let him have some breakfast. He is very sensitive. He doesn't like people when they're hanging on their mouths. He likes to have a little bit of a rein and sort of lead him to his own devices in his own way. And he's an absolute darling in the stable. Absolutely loves attention, loves a good cuddle and a good scratch. Sometimes he can get a little bit frustrated when things aren't quite going to plan. For example, when there's pigeons flying around in the arena and things like that, to get him a little bit spooked by. But he is a man of many talents because he deals a lot with our learners in the school, who are learning to ride in their first couple of weeks, but then he can turn his hand to the specialist courses when they come as well. He's got a fantastic jump on him, and he is an absolute godsend to us when we've got to do the courses. So he's just a man of many talents. Sometimes you think, what would we do without Fred?
Ah,
so
one of the students' favourites, isn't he?
He is one of the students' favourites, yes. And he is one of the first that they will ride when they go into the indoor arena. He's a little bit more challenging on the gallops, so he doesn't tend to get used by the learners on the gallops.
Right.
Although we do try to get him out sort of once a week just to give him a leg stretch and let him have a bit of fun, really.
Yeah.
He's mainly used in the school for them because he does listen. He's got a very nice sitting canter. He's very balanced, and he really gives the learners a good feel to what it should feel like.
Yeah.
And allows them to find their own rhythm and their own seat.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's absolutely fab.
Oh, bless him. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Right. So you'll see a lot of the horses out there just enjoying their time off. So we've got some over here as well. So Claire's over here. We'll meet some more of the horses. So So who have we got here?
So this one is where Stuart, so his stable name's Stuart. He's about 6 years old, and I think he ran 6 times. He's probably been with us a couple of years, but he's a real asset to the college. He does the indoor school, so he's really good for getting the learners in the beginning stages, getting them balanced. Because he moves quite nice as well, they find him quite easy to sit to in the sitting canter. And then when it goes to the standing canter, he's often not, he doesn't pull, he's not that forward. So he's good for them, to give them the confidence that they can actually stand up, canter a horse and it not run off with them. He occasionally, very occasionally on a Monday morning, he has a little sort of moment, but 9 times out of 10 he's as good as gold. He's an absolute darling in the stable. All the learners love Stuart. If they've got Stuart for mucking out, they know that they're going to have a horse that can stand.
Oh.
He really is kind. He would never bite or kick. Choose Tack. Never bite or kick any of the learners. When it comes to like the best turned out, he always comes up like a new pin. He looks so well when he's plaited up. He's quite a unique colour because he's not chestnut, he's not bay, he's sort of an in-between, a brown liver chestnut. So he really is quite a unique colour as well.
Yeah.
He's definitely a firm favourite.
Oh, we do see him a lot on the Student of the Week pictures and things like that.
Occasionally, as well, he does, when the specialist courses are in, he'll do the hurdle, he'll do the indoor school when they're doing a bit of schooling over poles and things. So he's come here a flat horse, but he's adapted to doing the jumps a little bit as well, and he quite enjoys that, which I think's good for him to do something different, because he is a relatively young horse, and the younger horses can get into bad habits and get a little bit bored of the same thing day in, day out.
Yeah.
So it's nice for him to do a bit of pole work and things with the conditionals and amateurs and what have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's lovely.
Oh.
Great little horse.
Lovely, thank you very much. So we've just got one more up here that Victoria's got that we'll have a chat to her about. It's good to meet the horses and just see the different personalities and the different quirks that they have and what they're most useful for. So like I said earlier, a lot of them are different for the learners, and there's a lot of firm favourites, but there's also, you know, some that are very unique as well. So who have we got here,
So
Victoria?
this is Gamesters. He is 6 years old. He came to us as a 4-year-old, just straight out of his racing career. This horse actually is one of your first horses that you will ride on the gallops. He's absolutely fantastic at leading the string, because he just sets a nice pace, you know, picks up the canter and gives you a really good feel of what it should feel like right at the beginning, so that when the learners start getting on the more challenging rides, they already know what it should feel like and kind of can adjust themselves. This is Tommy, who wants to get the spot in the line as well. Tommy's another galloping horse. He's from a national hunt background, and he again is a big gentle giant. He has he's done quite a lot in terms of being on the gallops with our learners at the beginning, because he again sets a really nice pace. If you grab him up too much, he will sort of snatch at the rein a little bit, and he gets himself a little bit upset. So he gives them a really good lesson in how to make sure that they're not grabbing hold too tight, and making sure that they're balancing from the feet rather than from the hands. But both of these horses are absolute little gems in the stable. They both like a good fuss and a good cuddle, and you know, when it comes to grooming and doing all the sort of stable work with them, they are absolutely fantastic to work with, and they both have very cheeky, chappy little characters that do just make it much more exciting to work with.
Lovely, thank you very much.
No problem. Go back this time, son.
So we're just going to catch up here. There's been a few questions about fitness, so we'll just catch up with Matt about fitness. So Matt's our training manager here. So what kind of fitness then do the learners need before they arrive?
Well, we generally look at sort of functionality and just being able to do general tasks, because at the college here you do things from mucking out to paddock maintenance to riding your horses, and it's quite a long day, so you'll be sweeping, mucking out, so it's quite a demanding job, and you're on your feet for most of the day, and to get yourself in good condition we always try and advise learners to do some form of fitness regime. So a lot of the time when they come on the interview we'll ask, what have you done, getting yourself ready. Some will say they've done a little bit, some haven't, so we really try and advocate to do, whether that's going out for a run, doing some squats, press ups, just general exercises that can get yourself prepared and ready. When we get here on the course we do a lot of like HIIT training, so sort of high intensity intervals, and we do like circuits, we'll set up exercises. We'll also use the gallops here for runs, so it's just under a mile around here, so we'll come out and we'll have a good blast, good for the cardiovascular aspects. Because obviously riding the racehorses here is quite challenging, and you can imagine on the gallops you're holding half a ton of racehorse in a controlled manner. If you're going around and you get halfway, you get tired. Horse doesn't get tired, the horse is still going to keep going and possibly try and run off of you, or get a bit excited and keep taking those challenges. So we really try and push that, and we have simulated sessions which we know we look at practicing the technique and adopting the sort of the style associated with racing, because a lot of the learners that we get might not have ever, one, sat on a horse, or two, just not used to conventional style of riding. So
Yeah.
and a lot of that encompasses a lot of core strength, so planks. So if I had to give someone advice, I would sort of say work on your core exercises, look at getting a bit more active with your running, try and get yourself in the best shape as possible as you can before coming here. It really does make the first 2 weeks a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because that's probably always the hardest bit. You're away from home, it's a new challenge, and then if you're finding the job hard, it might make you feel a little bit, oh, can I do this?
Yeah.
We want everyone who comes on the course to achieve and obviously get a job in racing, whatever career they'd like to go into. So that's our main ambition.
Yeah. So even for, say, non-riders as well, it's quite challenging, isn't it? It's long days. So even if you're not a rider, you still need to be fit. Oh,
for sure. I mean, if you've got to muck out 4 stables and you're doing 20 minutes per box, you have to be moving.
Yeah.
It's about a team thing as well. So you've got yard tasks. You might have to be dealing with horses with lunging. So again, you're having to be strong. If you've got a horse that tries to shoot off of you and you're around the ring, and you have the strength to hold them and corral them around.
Yeah. And
we do those sessions, try and get that incorporated into their course.
Yeah.
Again, you're shifting wheelbarrows, catching and handling horses.
Yeah.
It is hard, and if you're not in good shape, and I think that being in this type of job, if you love being outdoors and you love being active and doing, this is probably one of the best jobs in the world. Because, if you love working with horses and you get to be outside and doing these types of jobs, it's a great privilege for a lot of people that get to do this and then get paid for it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
From all the other equine industries that I know of, that racing pays one of the best in the country. So if you want to have a career progression with horses, certainly it's a great route to go down. Career progression, at least, for a lot of learners that would like to go down that route. Yeah,
definitely. Well, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. See you later.
Bye.
So horses are just getting some breakfast there, hence why they're having a bit of a play. So Matt touched on there about the fitness and why it is important. We do stress that it is very important before you come here. So like Matt said, any running, any core strength exercises. They're really beneficial for when you start your course. So I've got a few questions here that have come through whilst we were chatting to the training instructors. So Amy's put, do we carry a whip? No, none of our learners will carry a whip at all. Only for kind of jockey licence courses would you carry a whip. So no, we don't allow that here at all. And a question about riding gear. So do you wear joppers, horse racing trousers? So we advise wearing breeches, joppers, as long as they're a dark colour, navy or black, then that's absolutely fine. Question here about what kind of theory classes are there. So that's a good question as well. Something that we haven't talked about is during the time, during the 12-week course, we have what's called the evening programme. So this will occur after tea. So tea is normally about 6:30. So during that time you will learn how to things like managing money, mental health, cooking, simple things just that you need to learn for when you live on your own. So once learners have finished the 12-week course, we want them to feel prepared for when they go out and live independently. So we do all them courses to make sure they have that behind them, that they feel comfortable living on their own. So or away from parents as such, so they might not be living completely on their own. It'll be in a shared house with a racehorse trainer, with the staff, at the yard, things like that. So all different yards vary, but if the yard that you're working at is close to home, you could always live at home and then travel in every day as well. So it's different circumstances, but we just make sure learners are ready to live independently. So here you'll see the stalls. So you'd not probably normally see these on a race course. So these are used for our jockey licence courses. So those that want to be a flat jockey, apprentice jockey. So during the jockey licence course, they will have to put a horse out of these. So I'm not sure if anyone's ever been close to them at a race course at all, but they are quite daunting if you've never been in them before. But yeah, this is what they use for the jockey licence courses to be a flat jockey. A question here about fitness. What are the best exercises to do? So running's a really good exercise. If you can build up muscle that way. A lot of core exercise as well. So push-up, press-ups, the plank, things like that will really strengthen your core. So they're really good exercises. The question, do you have to leave after 12 weeks? So yes, the course is completed after 12 weeks. So you'll then be ready to go out into the workplace. For some learners that aren't quite ready, we may take you on for longer. It depends on the individual, depends on the circumstance. So if there's a learner that's just not quite ready to go out into the work placement, then we'll discuss different options for that learner. So there's a question here from Kerry. So, been accepted onto the foundation course. I mentioned earlier about those that have been accepted but not yet got a course date. We are in touch with all learners because obviously during this COVID situation it is very tricky. We can't have as many learners on site as we wish. So we're having to organise it slightly different this time, but we will be in touch with every single learner that's been offered a place just to confirm their place, their course start date, and things like that. So if you just bear with us, we will be able to offer you your course date soon. So a question, if you're a rider on the course, will you still be able to do some of the things that a non-rider would do? So yes, definitely. You'd cover almost everything that a non-rider would do. A non-rider would just maybe do them bits a bit more than the riders, because obviously when the riders are in the indoor school or the gallops, the non-riders will be able to do different tasks such as holding for the farrier, learning how to trot up, learning the signs of a healthy horse, anatomy, everything that goes on, that happens with a horse, and yard management and things like that. If there's anything during your time here that you feel like you want to work on, that you're not quite sure about, just ask our trained instructors, and they'll be able to advise you and help you do different things whilst you're here. So if you wanted to learn how to trot a horse up, say for a vet or things like that, we can show you that. You've just got to ask, and we'll show you the correct way to do things. So question here, what's the height of the racing ponies? So we have two here, they're around about 14 hands, so they're not that big at all. So a question here regarding the evening programme. So anything that occurs in the evening programme, such as cooking and things like that, we provide everything that you need for them programmes. So in a lot of instances we'll have external speakers come out to do the training. There's a charity called Racing Welfare as well, which I'm not sure if anyone's heard of. They're a charity that are they're there for people working in the racing industry, so they provide support, whether it's if you're struggling with mental health issues, physical health issues, anything like that. They'll be able to help and support anybody within the racing industry. So we have them that come and do some talks as well, which are a great charity for the people in racing as well, so somebody that everyone can go to. So it's definitely worth looking them up as well. So a question, do we make our own food? No, so we have chefs on site. So the food is very much nutritious food that is carefully selected by our chefs here. So to make sure you've got enough energy to get you through each day, but also to be healthy as well. So our chefs are on site, they cook breakfast, lunch and dinner. There's always a variation of meals as well, so you can choose what you want each day off a selected menu. Any dietary requirements, anything like that, just let us know and we can sort something out for you, no problem at all. So a question from Zach, what GCSEs do you need to pass the NHC? So in order to pass you need level 4, which is grade C or above, to pass the foundation course. So you do not need them qualifications to apply to actually take part in the foundation course, but you do need them to complete it. So we have functional skills tutors at the NHC, and we will help you gain them qualifications, and you'll do your exams here in order to complete the foundation course. And the good thing about here as well, so our functional skills will base English and maths around the subject of horses, so an interest for a lot of people. So those that might not be academic, they don't enjoy academic work, we will base the English and maths around horses and around the racing industry to make it more relevant and to make it more fun, and that way you're more likely to pass as well, with it being an industry that you enjoy, that you're interested in. So we will always base it around that industry. So one last thing we will go to have a look at now. We'll see if some of our classrooms are open. Just lock these gates. Right, so yeah, we'll venture back into the main building. One thing our learners love as well is the racing simulators. So if you have a look on our previous open mornings, you'll be able to see a demonstration by our training instructors of the racing simulators. So on our usual open mornings, where we welcome people onto the site, you'll get to have a go on them, get some tuition by our training instructor that's here. Obviously at the minute we can't welcome anybody on site, so which is a downside, because it's great for those interested in coming here to have a go on the racing simulators and just get a feel for it. And they're really good fitness as well. Our yard supervisor, Lee Swift, he used to be a flat jockey himself, so he takes time out of his day every day to help learners. So during his breaks he will go and sit in the simulator room, so any learners that want to go during their free time, just to get a bit more experience and a bit more fitness on the racing simulators, he does that in there as well. So a question from Alex about the qualifications. You would need your the C in maths to complete this course, but if you just include that in your application of your academic qualifications, such as in university, then we'll be able to look into that for you and just see what them qualifications are. So we also have here what's called the Doncaster Equine College. So for those that aren't wanting to go into racing as such, we have level 1, 2 and 3 in horse care here. So that's for those that can travel in each day, so those that aren't too local, so that's not a residential course. But that's where the horses are housed, up here in what we call the top yard. So these, I spoke about our body protectors earlier. So these are the body protectors that we lend to all learners during their stay here. It's the one piece of kit that we do lend. Obviously you need to buy hat, riding boots and gloves before you come here. Or we have the shop, as we said, that we sell all the information that the equipment that you need. So up here we have some some of the library. This is where a lot of the learners will do functional skills, and some of the evening programs take part up here as well. So this is where a lot of them will do their work. So there's a lot of industry books here that learners can read whilst they're here. So yeah, this is one of our classrooms here. So a question there about body protectors. If you already have one, do you need to borrow one? As long as it's the correct standard. So what I'll do, once this video is finished, I will comment on this video with the link to our learner guide. So the learner guide includes everything that you'd need to know about what's required for the course, so what you need to bring, all the information at all that you need. So I'll attach that to the video, and I'll let you have a look at that. So a good question from Jen there about laundry. So in the residential block we have a washing machine. So whilst learners are here, they can do their own washing. So they don't have to take it home to the parents and tell them that they have to do their washing. So they can do it here themselves. So they can buy tokens for the washing, which are, I believe, £1 that you for one of the tokens. But that'll be included in the learner guide, all information for that. Another question from Jen, a locker key. So yeah, you'll all get a locker whilst you're here. Obviously you'll all have your rooms to put all your personal belongings in, and you'll all have a key for that. But when it comes to your riding gear and things like your phone whilst you're riding, because you can't have your phones on the yard, they can all be safely put away in your locker, and you'll all get a locker and a key for that. So I'll also show you, so we're back through the tack room. So in here is where all the horses, numbers and sheets and things like that are kept. So during the learner's stay, they'll all have their own different tasks. So one of the learners, their task will be to ensure that all the numbers, all them on there, will be washed and dried every day, ready for the next day. So we ensure that they're all nice and clean and dry, ready for every time that they're ridden. And there's different jobs for cleaning and different duties that each learner will have whilst they're here. We also have barn managers as well. So in each of the 3 barns that we saw earlier, there's a barn manager for each. So they're selected by the learners in the first few weeks, and then barn managers will take over. So it's really good for non-riders as well, because that will replicate what it's like to kind of lead a yard in the workplace, to be like a head lad, things like that. So they'll all make sure things are done on time, things are in order, and they just take the lead. So that's a really, really good opportunity for learners to have. So a question from Carly about the accommodation. So we're not able to show the accommodation today. We have had a deep clean in there ready for the learners arriving the weekend. So we're not able to show you in there today. However, on our YouTube page, you can view our previous open morning, which shows the accommodation block on there. So if you just go onto YouTube, type in National Horse Racing College, and it's the previous open morning from May, and it does show accommodation on there. Question: what sort of hat and riding boots do we need? So a hat is it's a certain standard of hat. So the standard will be shown inside your hat, and I will upload the learner guide after this video is finished, so you can compare your hat with the standard that we require. So it can't have a peak; it has to be a hard school hat. So I'll let you have a look on there on the learner guide. It does list what we allow, and they will be checked on arrival as well. In terms of boots, you can either have boots and chaps, which are quite common for learners, or you can have long riding boots. So the only thing with long riding boots is they can pinch you just behind the knee if they're a bit long, because you ride slightly shorter in racing. They can slightly pinch you if they're too long. However, we do sell certain racing boots as such, which are slightly shorter, more comfortable, but it's completely up to the individual as to what they prefer, whether it's boots and chaps or long riding boots. As long as they're safe and fit well, then that's absolutely fine. So the video's nearly finished now, so if anyone's got any more questions at all, just let me know in the next few minutes and we'll be able to answer them. Alternatively, you can direct messages if you prefer. Direct message our Facebook page, we'll be able to answer on there. Or drop us an email at info@thenhc.co.uk, where we can send you any relevant information that you might need. So a question, so the hat can't have a peak. Some peaks on hats, if you fall, they can affect you in terms of if you fall in a certain way, they can affect your neck when you fall. And it's just a regulation that we have in racing that it doesn't have a peak. And it's a school cap, but they are just slightly safer when it comes to riding race horses. So a question from Lucy about the laundry and the washing machine. So if you don't know how to do anything like that on site, we have a welfare officer on site, and we also have night wardens on site. So anything that you're struggling with in terms of accommodation or anything like that, they're always there to help you. And other learners as well, they'll be able to help you. We have some learners that will have been here 6 weeks prior to you starting a course, so they'll know how everything works and they'll be able to advise you as well. So yeah, don't be afraid to go to our staff and ask for help, and also other learners, because they're always willing to help. So question from Amy: are you allowed hat silk? So yes, you can put hat silk on. We do have NHC hat silks, which are colours of green and purple. So a lot of learners use them, which they look really smart. But anything dark coloured, so navy or black, anything like that would be suitable for your hat. Question from Jen about the hat size. So we fit hats, so we're qualified to fit hats here. So on the day that your course starts, we'll be able to advise you, so a member of staff will be able to fit your hat for you and help you with that. Alternatively, if you go to any saddlery, any equestrian outlet that are qualified hat fitters, if you take them the standard that's on our learner guide and just say you need that standard of hat, then they'll be able to advise you on the hat that you need. So it's not just ourselves that fit them, but it's also other saddleries that will be able to help you on that. But like I say, just make sure it is the specific regulation that we need, the specific size, because that is really important, because you won't be able to wear it and you wouldn't be able to ride or lead horses without a hat that is the correct standard. A question from Zach about phones. So phones, they're not allowed on the yards or around the horses, but you are allowed them during your free time, during your lunch breaks, your breakfast, your tea, anywhere like that, as long as you're not around the horses with your phone, because it's a health and safety hazard. We don't want you on your phone and not concentrating on where the horses are, just in case you're not aware of what the horses are doing. So they just stay in your lockers during the time that you're around the horses and in the yards. So a question from Amy. So just before you start your course, just make sure, just drop us, if you drop us an email or a Facebook message about the gear that you'd need for your course, then we'll be able to advise you of what we have in stock, and what we'll be able to help you with on that. Alternatively, you can go to an independent saddlery and get something fitted there, so that's absolutely fine. So a question about the gym in your free time. So yes, we have a gym up what we call the visitor centre. So it's just down the lane. It's a relatively new gym that we have, that is open for learners to use during their free time. Here. All you need to do is make training instructors aware of when you want to use it, and we'll be able to open that for you. A lot of our learners as well during the free time in an evening typically would maybe go for a run around the gallops, go for a quick walk around the gallops just to up their fitness that bit more. So a lot of learners do that. So they tend to go in a group as well sometimes on an evening, just run around the gallops a few times. So a question, is there a minimum weight? No, there's no minimum weight. As long as you are you're able to handle horses, then that's absolutely fine. As long as you're fit and healthy to handle them, that's no worries at all. It's just the maximum weight that has to be 11 stone, fully kitted, so wearing your full riding gear, you mustn't exceed 11 stone. So a question about going off site. So there are some instances where learners would need to go off site, so that's where you just have a chat with a member of our team, whether it's the welfare officer or the training instructors, and just to explain why you need to go off site. And many occasions, if it's necessary, then one of our team members would take you off site to get what you need, and then bring you back as well to the college. The question, in the free time, can you go around the gallop? So yes, like I just said about running and fitness, you can go around the gallops during your free time, so you can walk, run, as long as you're back here for when you need to be. But obviously that'll be on foot and not on a horse. So you only ride in the mornings, But yeah, on foot you can go around the gallops during your free time. So a question from Zach, do you have more boys than girls? So we have a mixture, so both male and female learners that we have here of all different ages. So yeah, it's a complete mixture of both. Right, so that's all the questions that we've had. I hope you found today interesting, and you've given you a bit more information about what you need for the course. If you have any questions at a later date at all, just let us know. Either private messages on Facebook, drop us an email, give us a call, however you wish. Any questions at all, just let us know, and we can answer them for you. So thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have a nice day, and we'll see you soon.